The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. We provide programs and services designed to assist and support the older town residents who wish to remain in their homes as they age. If we don't currently provide a service, we will try and connect you to that service. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Project Independence and You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm your host today, Rebecca Miller, along with co-host Otto Lohse. How are you, Otto?
Good morning, Rebecca. It's a nice day. The weather's been good. And before you know, we're complaining that it's too cold.
That's right. That'll be the next topic.
Right.
So also, of course, radio show producer Kristina Liu. Kristina produces the radio show each week and brings us great guests every week. And today will be no different. So we're really happy today to have Cori, Crocilla. Hopefully I said that right. And Cori is the consumer advocate for PSEG Long Island, and she's going to be speaking to us today about the PSEG Long Island Assistance Program. And we also have Robert Vessichelli. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. And Robert is the lead investigator also for corporate security at PSEG Long Island. And you'll be talking to us a lot about the electric utility scams that are going on. And I'm sure you'll be giving us a lot of advice for our seniors, how to kind of avoid or become aware of them. But I guess we'll start with Cori. Cori, you're the consumer advocate for PSEG Long Island, and that's a big job. And as you know, Project Independence is a senior-based program, an aging in place program. We want to help seniors age in place. Of course, we want everybody to be able to stay in their home nice and safe. But so I'm so curious if you could just give us a little bit of background on the Long Island Assistant Programs.
Sure. Thank you, Rebecca. So as Rebecca said, I'm one of the consumer advocates. We have four. We have two in Nassau, two in Nassau and the Rockaways, two in Suffolk. We do function as a team, however, and what we do is we work with vulnerable customers that are struggling to pay their utility bills. A lot of folks don't know that we're there, so that's why we love opportunities like this to let people know that we are here, we are able to help, and we can provide information on programs and services that you may otherwise not be aware of. So we work very closely with the Department of Social Services, not-for-profits. We spend time at community centers and pantries just to try to reach as many people as possible. And as we know with the pandemic, the number of people struggling to pay their bills has increased tremendously. Mm-hmm. So we do have a few programs that I'm going to highlight. I won't, go through all of them in the interest of time, but I would like to, I can give our advocacy number if you want to grab a pen and paper and write it down. Otherwise, you can always just call our customer service.
It's always good to provide the number, and then people who are listening can also call our 311 and we'll be happy to give them the number too. So yeah, if you could give Perfect. Us the best number to reach the programs.
Yes, so our advocacy number is 516-454-4331. I'll repeat it again at the end, but 516-454-4331. We have live advocacy reps that answer those phones, so sometimes it may just be a quick question, but if you need to speak with an advocate, they will refer you to the advocate that covers the territory in which you live. And they're there 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. You can leave a message. We actually do return those phone calls, so you're not calling the main customer service number. So some of the programs that we offer, one of them is called REAP, and REAP stands for the Residential Energy Affordability Program. This is an energy conservation program, which helps you to lower your usage and then in turn lower your electric bill. So it's income eligible, but I will say that the income guidelines are very moderate. So most of us would be eligible for this. It's a free program. One of our energy efficiency technicians will come into the home. They'll do an energy efficiency audit and basically just see how things are running. They're not going to fix anything or change anything. They're just looking. And then based on what they find, they're going to educate you on how to lower your usage. Things other than what we all know, turning off lights, we all know that. It's a little bit more in depth. Sometimes they find gas leaks, major issues with water heaters. So it can be educational. And if you follow the tips from the technician, you can lower your electric bill. And we all know, again, the rates of everything are skyrocketing. They will also bring some LED light bulbs for free, and they'll put them in, I believe it's 6, which are energy efficient and last a very long time. And they will also test your refrigerator, up to 2 window air conditioners if you have them, and a dehumidifier if you have one. And if those appliances are deemed inefficient, PSEG will actually replace them for free. So that's a huge savings. I have a woman who just got a new refrigerator. It doesn't happen with every audit, but as we know, a refrigerator is plugged in 24 hours a day. So if it's not running efficiently, it's jacking up your electric bill. So
if you had to pick out like 2 or 3, tips, if you will, to lower your usage, what would they be? Like right now, frankly, this is air conditioned season,
yes.
and that's pretty difficult in my judgment to reduce unless you don't mind sitting in a very hot room, which we don't
Yes.
recommend for seniors, frankly. They should use their air conditioner.
Yes. So some of the tips I would suggest are, I know my house, I get a ton of sun in the afternoon and my house heats up like it's like a greenhouse. So during the hours of high sun, shutting blinds or drapes to, not allow the sun to come in. Obviously using fans as opposed to air conditioners when it's not, 90 degrees. The other thing is just be aware. A window air conditioner costs approximately 25 cents an hour to run. So if you're running 2 air conditioners, let's say you're running your living room air conditioner for 4 hours a day and you're going to bed and you're running that one 4 hours a day. That's $2 a day times 30 days in a billing cycle. That's $60 at the end of your month just on your air conditioner. So just being aware, I have teenagers that, the minute they're uncomfortable, like, oh, just throw on the air. I'm like, no, I can't pay a $600 a month electric bill. So I think just being aware too of what things cost. I know you mentioned the winter, but in the summer, but in the winter, sometimes people tend to run space heaters and those are super expensive as well. So just being aware, I think, of your usage is the most important thing.
Is there a difference between like the air conditioner, like I realize every house is bigger, like central air conditioning, and then the kind that, I forget the right term right now, where you have the unit outside and it gets, the cold air is just what is it?
The split system, the split unit?
Yeah, right, the split system. Would there be a big difference in how the cost of running those?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
Right. Okay.
But the reprogram that I was speaking about, they are your energy efficiency experts. So if anybody has questions on energy efficiency or questions like you just asked, Otto, I would refer you to the reprogram, and I will give you their number. It's 1-800-263-6786. Again, 1-800-263-6786. You can call them with specific questions. You can also call them to set up one of these REAP assessments. It's about a 2-hour assessment that they spend at the home. And you can be an apartment dweller or a homeowner. You just have to have an account in your name and meet the income guidelines, which I said are pretty moderate. It's not a low income program.
That's great to know that you can also be a renter and use the REAP program. You don't have to own the home.
Right. And when you are a renter, if they are going to, let's say, replace your refrigerator, I've never heard of a landlord saying, no, we don't want a new refrigerator. So it's a win-win, really.
Right.
For everybody. So that was just what I wanted to share about energy efficiency, just because we can all benefit from one of those assessments. We also have our discounted rate. So this is an income-based program. And pretty much if you receive benefits from SNAP, Medicaid, public assistance or temporary assistance, a veteran's pension for a non-service connected disability, SSI or HEAP, any of those programs, you'd be eligible for our discounted rate. And it's a savings of about $37 a month. It's a lot of money. Again, you can contact our advocacy department. It's the simplest application you'll ever complete. It's about 5 lines, and you just have to send an award letter that you receive one of those benefits, and you're on the rate.
That's above and beyond what they're getting through the other programs.
Yes,
So it's an additional $37 saving
yes.
compared
it's
to
not-
whatever else they might be getting.
Correct. So they
Right,
can get
okay.
benefits from other places, but this is a continuous monthly discount. It lasts for 18 months, but you can just renew. We'll send out a renewal at the 14-month mark, and you can be on it forever as long as you participate in one of those programs.
Is it like a certain percentage across the board, or is it based on your income or the service that you're linked to receive it?
Well, all of those programs that I mentioned, they're on the application itself, so you can see them. But all of those programs are considered low income. So it's kind of like social services has already determined your low income if you're getting one of those benefits. So that's enough.
Right.
for MSEd.
Is there a discount number, like everybody across the board would get, I'm just saying randomly, I don't know, say 5% off their bill, or does it vary based on?
It varies a few
The person.
cents, but it's pretty much $37 for everybody.
37, okay.
Yes, regardless of their bill amount or what have you. Yeah, it's always the same. We have something also called the Peace of Mind program, which is really nice. It's exactly what it says. So if you end up in the hospital, or someone in your home ends up in the hospital, which, I mean, let's face it, a lot of times that's not a planned event. You can simply call us and let us know that you want your bill date pushed back 30 days. This way you're not worrying about late fees that maybe you can't afford, being turned off. You know, the last thing you want to worry about when someone in your family is in the hospital or you're in the hospital is paying your bills. And again, that's something you can just call customer service and let us know. We don't need documents or anything like that. It's pretty simple. And we also have something called the Friendly Follow-Up Program. This is a really nice program for those who maybe live alone. They live independently, but maybe they don't always remember to pay their bills, or maybe they're overwhelmed with bills. So for this program, you can designate a third party just as an added protection to be made aware if your bill falls into termination status. The third party could be a person, it could be a social service agency, just someone that's notified in the event that you're going to be turned off, because you may not even realize it. This third person or third party is not in any way, shape, or form responsible for the bill. The bill is not in their name. It's just an added protection to avoid a turn off and then a reconnect and that whole big situation that nobody wants to really deal with.
It sounds like, you know, there's a lot of options here, and I'm just talking out loud. Would the right place to start, frankly, if somebody really doesn't know, you know, REAP, and we mentioned a couple of things here, REAP, HAR, whatever. Could they just call like the consumer advocate and discuss their scenario? And
Yes.
then, you know, go down the path that would be best for them?
Yes, that is exactly what we do. So we have folks call us. Maybe they're having an issue, maybe they're not, but we can look at their bill and assess what's going on and refer them appropriately. If their bills are through the roof, we can say, hey, maybe you can call REAP. If we see that they're on Medicaid, we'll suggest a discounted rate. So we try to look at the account and offer them everything that they may be eligible for, that they may not otherwise have even known. So that's really what we do as advocates.
So when there are problems like outages, which because of weather, you know, obviously it's going to happen. We know that we're on Long Island, so we get hit a lot with winds and all that kind of stuff. If somebody is out of power, would they call you for assistance too, for information and updates, or is that a different program?
So they can call the outage. We have an outage line. That number that they would call to report their outage is 1-800-490-0075. Again, 1-800-490-0075. We also have My Account, which you can set up online. I know a lot of us, myself included, are not very tech savvy, but it's actually pretty simple. If you went onto our website, you just create a password and a username, and there's outages on there. You know, you can You can click outages, you can click to report an outage. There's a lot of other stuff you can do on there as well. But sometimes it could just be a text.
Well, on the project independence end of things, it's the nurses and the social workers who actually go out and go to people's homes now. This is a good thing for them to have in their bag of tricks, if you will. If they sense that people are having a financial problem or whatever, this is just another item that they can put on the checklist to try to help people out, frankly, and make it so they can afford to stay in their own home. It's just, all I'm saying really is that in the case of Project Independence, the nurses and the social workers could very much be the people who link them with this PSEG benefits, if you will.
Absolutely. And we deal a lot with case managers and social workers. We presented to Northwell. We present to a lot of the food pantries in the area because they're kind of like the go-between sometimes between us and them. So we get a lot of referrals that way from government, not only governmental agencies, but community agencies as well.
So just by calling the 516-454-4331 number, you can not, maybe you don't have all the answers, but it sounds like you can also, help someone navigate to the right program or service within, PSEG, and also within a lot of the services that are here on Long Island, Nassau and Suffolk. So that's great. So you said you have 4 advocates all together for Long Island, both in Nassau and Suffolk. Is there a different number for Suffolk, for the Suffolk people?
There is, but you can really, it doesn't make a difference. You can call either, but the other number, just so you have another number, is 631-755-3407. And again, you can call either number because they're going to refer you to the appropriate advocate in that territory anyway.
Right.
So
a lot of times we also air this program on a government channel through Verizon and also Optimum, and it reaches out there. It does get to some places out east. So I'm sure there are people that are going to be listening would appreciate, not just this information, but also that there's, an advocate. I mean, it's just wonderful to have that kind of service. And actually, that being said, we are going to a very quick break. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. And we will be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lohse and Kristina Liu, our radio show producer. We are speaking with some people from PSEG, recently speaking with Cori, Crocilla, talking about the programs that are available, their Long Island assistance programs. And Cori is a consumer advocate for PSEG Long Island. We're also going to be speaking with Robert Vessichelli, and Robert is the lead investigator and for corporate security at PSEG Long Island, and we'll be speaking to him about electric utility scams. And I'm sure that some of the programs that you do, the assistance programs, you have to be careful about making sure that this is PSEG that you're dealing with. So definitely people should be calling that number only directly. And no one would anyone ever just kind of cold show up at the house and say, we're with PSEG. we have programs such as REAP and all the other lists. Would that ever happen, or would it be something only someone would request?
Are you
Cori,
asking-
is it
I'm sorry, yes.
either way?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't, collectors will go out if someone is in termination or something. But as far as these programs, we've left door hangers. We do a lot of bill inserts. But no, only in the event that someone is going to be turned off after several attempts have been made via phone, email, they have to have a badge. And when in doubt, if someone is at your door, please call the 1-800 number, because we'll be able to tell you if somebody is there representing our company or not.
Okay. So before
Cori,
we speak with Robert, I know that Otto had a question during the break that he wanted to run by.
Yeah,
Cori.
Unfortunately, seniors, as they move along, things like macular degeneration come into the picture, and vision issues become an issue. And part of that is the problem of handling paperwork. You can't see, you can't use the computer, you can't use a checkbook. There's all kinds of things you can't do. How would I, if I want to pay my bill and I want to know what the bill is, what's the best way I could go about that as far as PSEG is concerned, if I have a vision problem?
You can request large print bills. You can also request bills in Braille. You can also call us and we will go over, amounts and dates with you. If you have a vision impairment that goes above and beyond where, none of those will assist, we will refer you to 211 or 311, which is their resource line. And they have a whole database of not-for-profits that can assist with various types of really any issue under the sun. So that's what we would do. We also have Spanish-speaking reps. We offer bills in Spanish. We have a hearing impaired line. That number is 631-755-6660. And we have the language line for speakers other than Spanish and English. There is a language line that we use. There's a number of languages. I don't know what they are, but there are many.
We've mentioned a fair number of different phone numbers here and different places you can call. Is there like a place that you could find all these numbers? And, like if I'm looking for Spanish or Korean or whatever, where would be the best place for me to find out what phone number I should use?
You can always call our main customer service number or our advocacy number.
Right.
The advocacy number was 516-454-4331, and we can direct you.
Well, I'm not trying to put you in overload, but it sounds like the consumer line, because you're going to get a human being and you do have the knowledge of where to direct me, wouldn't be a bad number to call, except for the outage situation.
Right.
You really have no control over that, I'm sure.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Thanks for all this information. Also, for anybody listening or anyone who's going to be watching this program, you can always call the town 311 number and speak with either, Kristina or I or anyone over at our DOSA staff, and we would be most happy to provide all these phone numbers and connect you to PSEG Long Island. So thank you so much for this wealth of information, Cori. We're going to start talking a little bit about
Rebecca,
these.
I just got one area, because I do know people in this category as well, that the critical care program
Yes.
was an item that was on your list.
Thank
like
you.
people who have oxygen or all kinds of other issues, and all of a sudden there's a power outage. That's not a good thing for people in that category.
Correct. And I'll be really quick because I don't want to cut into Robert's, but we do have something called the critical care for people who are on certain types of life-sustaining medical equipment. We have a list of approved equipment. It's not every piece of equipment, but oxygen is a big one. So I will just briefly say, if someone in the home is on any type of life-sustaining equipment, give us a call. There is a form that you and your doctor can fill out and get back to us. It protects you from a turn-off from non-payment. We will also reach out to you if there are planned outages, if there is a real outage. If we can't reach you by phone within 24 hours of an outage, we actually will go to the house to do a welfare check to see if perhaps you need water, perhaps you need us to call a family member, something like that. Doesn't guarantee priority of service in an outage, which is a big misconception that a lot of people have, but we will continue to check on you and notify you ahead of time. So thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, so again, thank you so much, Cori, for all this information. And, when we're speaking to Robert, feel free to kind of chime in if there's a program or anything kind of related that would be helpful for our Project Independence listeners. So thanks again. And now we'd like to speak with Robert. And Robert, you are the lead investigator for corporate security at PSEG Long Island. And we're going to be speaking with you about electric utility scams. And I'm curious if seniors really are the ones really kind of suffering with most of these scams.
I'll tell you the truth. Seniors are part of the population who are suffering from the scams. Initially, it was business owners. Now it seems to be a balance, about a 50-50 balance between residential and commercial customers. But we first started seeing these calls actually before PSEG Long Island was even formed. I was a security contractor for National Grid, and in August of 2013, I remember we got our first call from a pizza restaurant that had received the call. And initially, I was pulling a case on every single one, till at one point we were getting over 70 reported calls a day. So what I did was I started compiling the information on a spreadsheet, and I continued with the spreadsheet for a while. But the way most of the calls came in was that it would come through our call center. So instead of the call center receiving the call, sending me an email, I made up a list of criteria for the call center operators to take from the callers and enter into a database. And that spreadsheet would be sent to me. At first it was monthly. Now I get it weekly. We have, since August of 2013, 30,510 reported calls. It's probably double or triple that in reality, because I think when the scam first appeared, people didn't know what it was. They would call up and they would report. At this point now, after we've been out trying to educate as many people as we can, and many people have gotten so many calls that they just hang up right now.
Robert, can you talk to us a little bit about what the scam is? I'm sure there's lots of them, but the ones that you're mostly referring to.
Sure. And you're right, Rebecca, there are a lot, even just in the utility section, but the most common one is called the imposter or disconnection deception scam. And the way they do that is they'll make a call, and like I said before, they were starting to target commercial accounts, but now it's like 50-50. So the scammer spoofs our phone number, and what that means is they're able to make it look on caller ID that even though they're calling from their own number, it looks like they're calling from PSEG Long Island. And the imposter would turn around, identify themselves as one of our employees, and tell the customer that they owe money, and that if the bill isn't paid within a matter of hours, that their power is going to be shut off. What they try to do is they create a sense of urgency. And that's when people start to not really think about what they're doing, because the last thing that they want to happen is their power to be shut off. Sometimes they'll even say, we have a crew down the street waiting to shut you off. And the most common type of payment, especially in the beginning, was with a prepaid credit card. So what they would do is they would tell the person to go to any establishment that sells these prepaid debit cards, purchase one. I think at the time, the limit on the cards were $500. So depending on what they said that they owed, They would go to this convenience store that sells the card, put money on the card, which is the basis of the prepaid debit card. You buy the card for a nominal price for like administrative fees, and then you go to the cashier and you put whatever amount on the card. The scammer always gives you a number to call back. And when you call back, they ask for a PIN number, which is kind of like a scratch off feature on the rear of the prepaid debit card. Once they give the scammer that PIN number, the money is transferred from the card into their account. That's the basic scam. They've since used instead of prepaid debit cards, they've used like a web-based electronic payment service. And in some cases, just a handful of cases, they wanted to be paid in Bitcoin. But that's
I'm sorry, but what's scary about what you said here is this ability to make caller ID look like it's a PSEG phone call. This now all of a sudden puts a credibility onto it that most of us think is valid. That's a tough one.
Yeah, they actually do that through the internet.
Yeah.
And they're able to customize the caller ID. It's called caller ID spoofing.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, PSEG Long Island would never call somebody, and that especially if you haven't heard anything from them, and all of a sudden say they're going to shut your power off in 4 hours.
Absolutely not. In fact, there's a whole procedure of contact made between the company and the customer, and all of the contact, we offer a deferred payment agreement. We don't want to shut anybody off.
Right.
We're a company that provides a product. If we shut you off, you're not using our product. So we'll make every effort to help the customer out so that we don't have to shut them off. I mean, obviously, there are certain customers that we don't hear from, but even if there is a disconnection made, a disconnection notice is left with the customer to show them how they can get their power restored.
Right. It's not going to be this one call and go get a debit card and pay. That is a scam. That is not how you all operate. So just hang up. And I assume, Cori, if somebody gets a call like that, could they maybe even call you just for verification, and then maybe you would navigate them to, Robert, or explain to them that it is a scam?
Yes, we are able to see if we have a particular reason to be there. So we can confirm that for them. They can call us, they can call customer service, either way.
A thought, I think, is if you're the one who picks up because it looks like it's a PSEG, and you're a little leery, first of all, none of these calls are valid, but a way to counter that is to say, okay, let me look into it on my end and give me a phone number and I'll call you back. So you don't want to react, is what I'm thinking, to what they're saying. You want to stop them without reacting. You want to stall. You want to do whatever you have to do not to pay them. Just as my thought, as a suggestion to people who might be listening, you do not react. There's no emergency to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, the number on the bottom of the bill, which is 1-800-490-0025, is the number to our call center. And as I said before, all our call center operators are trained. They've handled hundreds, if not thousands, of calls, and they could advise the people. And they could also advise if there's somebody in their area, because sometimes these encounters are door to door, which is one of the variations of the scam.
And door to door would be worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And door to door could be somewhat dangerous. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes to your door and you're not comfortable with what they're saying, or if they're really trying to gain access to your house, obviously do not let them in. And if they're aggressive, I would call the police. It could be Also, a representative of a solar company could be a representative of what's called an energy service company that provides alternate power. In other words, you change from PSEG Long Island to this energy service company. And unfortunately, we've had instances where somebody would come up and say, I'd like to see your bill. I think I could save you money. And once they take certain information off the bill, they can sign you up for this energy service company without your permission. So, and I'm not saying that all companies do this, but you have scammers in all areas. The real danger with a door-to-door is what I call distraction burglars. And the way distraction burglars work, they may show up at your door. They may have bogus ID cards. They may have branded clothing that they've made because everybody's logo is on the internet, all different companies. Okay. And what they'll do is they'll state that they have to repair or change out some equipment in your home. So while one of the people engages the customer, the other person who's supposedly changing the outlets or whatever excuse they give is actually looking for cash and going through your jewelry boxes. So you really, really have to be careful.
You know, actually, I mean, generally speaking, you really should just block off anybody who comes door to door, period. I don't see why you would try to deal with anybody who comes door to door. You didn't request them to be there. You're not obligated to talk to them about solar or whatever. And I have it happen a lot. People do knock on the door. It's either they want to sell you new cable system or, you know, and they may sound legitimate, but who knows? Maybe half the time they're not. I just ignore door-to-door requests personally.
Yeah, absolutely. There was I did a news program some time ago, and a couple of days later, I saw one of our employees, and he said, "Hey, Robert, you know, I saw you on I forget what news show it was."
Robert, we actually have to take a very quick break, and we'll start back up with that because it sounds very interesting. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org, and we're speaking with PSEG Long Island. We will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with co-host Otto Lohse, and of course, our radio show producer, Kristina Lou. We're speaking with Robert Vessichelli, who is the lead investigator, corporate security at PSEG Long Island, and also Cori Crocilla, who is one of the 4 consumer advocates at PSEG Long Island, really providing a lot of helpful information. And Robert, I know before break, you were talking a little bit about a program that you were on. So if you could continue with that.
Yes, a couple of days later, I saw an employee and he said, "Rob, you know, I saw you on that news program." And he said, "Did you hear what happened to," and it's not the person's real name, "did you hear what happened to John's daughter?" And I said, "No." John was an employee of a utility company, not ours. It was another utility company. His daughter was home alone. Someone came to the door and knocked on the door. And she said, "Wait a minute, who's there?" And the guy identified himself as an employee of this company. She called her father, who was at work at the time, and he said, "Call the police." So they happened to live in an area that had their own police department. And when she spoke to the dispatcher turned around and said, "We just had another report 2 blocks away." So they flooded the area. They took the person into custody. That person had a tote bag with a knife, duct tape, and wire ties in it. So
wow,
that's the type of thing that I mean. with these door-to-door encounters, if you're in doubt at all, somebody shows up at your door, call 911.
You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
even, you know, I would say just shut it off, period. You know, you didn't ask them to come there, so you're not
Right.
obligated to talk to anybody who knocks on your door, really.
Exactly.
You know,
I feel like
What
a lot of
about-
times people don't want to bother. Like, oh, it's someone knocking at the door. Should I really call 911? And every police, every ambulance, every kind of worker related to, you know, those kinds of services that respond immediately to 911. No one has ever said it's a burden when they call and it turns out to be nothing. They'd rather it be nothing. They'd rather come, listen to your heart rate, you take your blood pressure, everything's normal, you're fine, and then they can leave. Or, you know, if somebody did come to the door erroneously, they were able to figure it out. There's no bad 911 call, especially if you're worried. That's what they're there for. So, you know, you can call 911 and look what could have happened if, you know, that young woman, the daughter, didn't call the father, didn't take the next step. It could have been a lot worse of when 911, you know, arrived. So that was just, you know, it's great advice, Robert. And I just think when in doubt, you know, especially when someone's coming to your door. So is there ever a time when PSEG Long Island might come to your door unannounced?
That's one thing I was going to go into. It might be if they were going to do work in the area, although they would probably send out letters to the neighborhood that they were going to do work in the area. But they may go to a neighbor and say, listen, your power is going to be out for a couple of hours or something like that. But our employees are instructed that when they go to a house, if the person doesn't want to talk to them or sends them away, they're not going to be aggressive at all. They're going to leave. So it's a real red flag if somebody does become aggressive.
And what about the vehicles that PSEG Long Island uses? Is it easy to identify someone? I mean, or would they ever show up in another kind of car that doesn't, you know, necessarily have PSEG Long Island identified on that vehicle?
Pretty much all of our vehicles have the PSEG logo on them. Sometimes when our meter readers go out, they'll park their car in a certain area and you know, go out and read meters. Although we have an AMI program, which is what people dub as the smart meters. So, but there's really no reason for our meter readers to go into the house. They usually read and they're gone. Or with the smart meters, there's no reading at all.
Robert, there's like we're covering methods of attack, I'll call it, all right. Phone, door, and another one that I know personally I've ignored but got hit with, email. You get an email like I got from Citibank, and it looks like a Citibank email. They do everything in their power to make it look like a Citibank email. I'm suspecting that PSEG might have a similar problem, you know, where people try to mimic, if you will, an email from PSEG. Is that?
Yeah. We had a scam that was going around just for a short amount of time. They were sending out emails from PG&E, which is an actual power company in California. And it was disguised as a way to make your payment online. And they had a button that said submit payment. And when you press that button, it introduced malware into your computer. So that's something that we saw for just a short amount of time, but we haven't seen that in a number of years. But yeah, as far as what you mentioned, Otto, what they'll do is they'll take an email address and just change one digit in it, so that it's directed to another address, but it looks like the one that you're trying to send to.
It's you really have to keep on your toes nowadays.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. You have to be suspicious with everything.
Sad but true.
I very rarely answer my phone. I screen most of my calls unless I know exactly whose number it is.
We,
And that's-
we never, yeah, like the house phone is, yeah, this is a different topic, but we have to have the house phone because otherwise our cable bill will be increased. So we have the house phone, which we never answer. Rely on caller ID up on the TV screen, which you just took the reliability out of that not too long ago. Because I could put anybody's name up there I want. So, most of the time that stuff is your car maintenance thing is expiring and,
that's the most common scam this past year.
Is it?
Yeah, is the car warranty scam. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all because I guess that they go for like 1 out of a million hits.
Yeah, when you really think about it, a lot of these places are set up, they're like boiler rooms with a bank of phones, and there's really not much overhead. So if they could make hundreds of calls and get 5 hits, they're making money. But and people say, why did they call me and so, and there's no reason. They usually work geographically. They'll hit a certain area for a few days, then go to another area. But it's like with them, it's hit or miss. We also had another scam or a variation called the overpayment or rebate scam. We actually saw this with PSEG. What they did was they said, we understand that you lost your electricity during Hurricane Sandy. A lot of people did. If somebody answers the phone and said, no, we didn't, it's go, okay, on to the next call. But the way this one worked, it was kind of like a phishing call. And what they would say is, we want to give you a rebate to make up for all the inconvenience that we caused. However, we could only do it through direct deposit. So we need your account and routing number so we could make a deposit into your account directly in. So they're trying to seek information. There's also another one called the equipment or repair bogus fees. And we saw it in the fact of electric meters. What they would say is, we're going to be changing your electric meters soon, but we need a $500 deposit. And then they would go through the different ways of paying. Initially, it was, like I said, the prepaid debit card. Now they're using web-based electronic payment services. So
Really?
we don't charge a deposit for meters. But the thing that was really bad was that we were in the middle of a huge meter change out to the smart meters. So, but again, we do not charge a deposit to change meters.
Well, Robert, you just said something, the web-based payment services. This
Yes.
is like, at one point it was like they were using gift cards and all kinds of very obvious things that, you don't pay any bills with a gift card, but people did. Could you just go a little bit more on this web payment thing? In other words, this is like I use a credit card and I can pay with my credit card?
No, what it is, and different banks have different programs, but you can make payments to different people using these web-based electronic payment services. So, and there are a bunch of them, but some of them it takes a few days for the transaction to go through, but some of them are immediate. So obviously, the scammers use the ones that are immediate.
Are they legitimate businesses or are they?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. The payments, they're legitimate. The one thing with scammers is we all appreciate advances in technology, well, so do the criminals. But they use it for the wrong purpose.
Yeah.
So it really seems like you guys also do a lot of education. We were talking a little bit over break about these kind of debit cards that are sold at 7-Elevens or supermarkets or any place you could pick up a debit card. So there was an experience I was explaining with my stepmother that she was in a scam. They rushed her, just like you were saying. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's very quickly, she had to go do the $500 thing. So she went to her Publix in Florida and looking for this specific card. And the manager of the store kind of recognized what she was doing and explained to her that this has been a scam. This is a scam. There's no way that anyone's going to rush you. So, and then you had said that you guys do education at certain places. So if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do it in a variety of ways. We've gone to these different establishments that sell these cards, and I've spoken to employees that they'll ask people, "Are you using this to pay a utility bill?" And they'll say yes, and it's a scam. It's a definite scam, and they would still purchase the card and make the payment because they're so afraid of losing, their power. And he said that most of the people who do that are more likely to do it are seniors.
Right. So really, like you were saying, Robert, earlier, is look at your bill and call the number on the bill just to clarify, because you all would never rush anybody through a payment like that. It's just, it seems common sense, but it's that rush, that scare tactic that they use. So, maybe just take a step back, look at your bill, which has the bona fide phone number on there, and call.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the major point is don't react immediately to anything.
Exactly. So it's like pause, take a breath,
right?
Get your head together, make a call. And when in doubt, make that call to that number, 1-800-490-0025. I just have a couple of items that, we went to most of the variations, but just a couple of things is we won't contact you out of the blue and threaten to cut you off. Shut off a service is a last resort that only occurs after we make multiple efforts to contact and help the customer. Also, know your balance, know your payment schedule. Okay, if you're on a regular schedule, then you know that making like online payments and stuff like that, then you're not behind. As I said before, relax and pause, take your time. Be suspicious of everything. It's a shame that we have to live that way, but we do have to live that way. Don't provide any personal information over the phone. Again, we don't accept prepaid debit cards, web-based electronic payment services, or Bitcoin. Don't answer calls from unfamiliar phone numbers. That just confirms to the scammer that your phone account is active. So they're going to try. And also, if you do get scammed, call the police, but expect a follow-up call from the scammer, because they figure if they got you once, they could get you again. We had one person who got scammed 3 times in one day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
We also had another person. Another vulnerability is for people who actually do owe us money. If they're in arrears, it makes them more vulnerable. We had one woman who owned a business. She owed us a lot of money, and the scammers asked for $3,000, which was nothing as far as what she owed us. She gladly paid it. But she owned a deli, and if she owed us $15,000, the business isn't doing well. She called up, she was in tears, and she was beside herself. And she lost her husband 3 weeks earlier. So these scammers, all they care about is making money. So be suspicious of everyone. And just the fact that anybody can be scammed. Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank was scammed for almost $400,000.
Whoa.
That was through a phishing thing where they altered an email address. But you really have to be on your toes.
The bad owing money. The scammers really don't know that you owe money. I don't think they don't have a way to get a list from PSEG that says, here's our bad list, if you will, people who owe us money. So I guess they just play by the numbers and assume that somebody is going to wind up owing us money.
Absolutely. It's like a hit or miss thing. And one thing that I want to mention here is that the calls are reducing. In 2019, we had 6,684 calls. 2020, 5,926. 2021, 4,150. And 2022, we have year to date 1,698. So at the half year, we had 1,500 calls even, which if we have the same amount in the second half, we'll end up with 3,000 calls. So the good news is it's going down. People are more aware of the scam through just the repetition of getting these calls, and also going around. The pandemic put a little bit of a damper. I used to go around to YMCAs, to senior groups, to chambers of commerce, and give my presentation. That's cut down right now. Hopefully, at a certain point, we can, resume doing that.
Well, we actually have to go to a break. I want to thank you both, Cori and Robert, for all the information you provided today to our listeners. Our programs are archived, so people will be able to listen to it at any point. You are doing some great things with PSEG Long Island. The client advocate, and also all the education on these scams are really important. So thank you both for joining us today. And I'm sure we'll be working with you guys down the road, because these are really significant programs that PSEG Long Island is providing. You're listening to Project Independence and You on WCWP.org, Community Talk Radio.